The evening was quiet, and the park looked peaceful under the fading light of the setting sun. Trees whispered softly as the wind passed through their branches, and the path was almost empty. A few joggers ran in the distance, but mostly, the place felt calm, almost magical. The air smelled of fresh grass and spring flowers, and the soft sound of birds filled the silence. On one of the benches sat a young human. He had come to the park for a little peace to clear his mind after a long day. His phone was in his pocket, but he didn't want to look at it. Tonight he wanted calm. He wanted to just sit, watch the sky and enjoy the quiet. But calm moments never last forever. From the corner of his eye he saw something moving fast across the path. At first he thought it was a squirrel or maybe a stray dog. But when the figure came closer, he realized it was neither. It was small, furry, and strangely glowing. Its fur shimmered like silver under the light, and it had big, round eyes that looked almost too bright to be real. The creature was running, and in its tiny hands it was holding something very strange. The human blinked. His eyes widened. Was that underwear? Yes, it was. The little furry creature was running with a pair of panties clutched tightly like a trophy. Before the human could even process what he was seeing, he heard a voice. A girl's voice. "Stop. Give that back, you naughty thing." The voice was light and sweet, but also filled with frustration. It echoed across the park as the girl ran after the creature. The human turned his head, and for a moment he forgot how to breathe. She wasn't like anyone he had ever seen before. She was tall, slim, and graceful, with skin that shimmered faintly, as if touched by starlight. Her hair flowed like a soft river of silver glowing faintly in the dusk. And her eyes, large, bright, and glowing in shades of blue, looked more alive than the night sky. She was beautiful, almost unreal, like she had stepped out of a dream. But she wasn't human. Her pointed ears, her glowing eyes, and her strange clothing made it clear she was not from this world. The human sat frozen on the bench as the scene unfolded in front of him. The furry creature kept running in circles, squeaking happily as if playing a game. The alien girl tried to catch it, but the little thing was too fast. Each time she came close, it jumped, twisted, and ran in the opposite direction, holding its prize tightly. "Come back here," she cried, her face turning red with embarrassment. The human couldn't stop watching. It was like something out of a comedy show, except it was real, happening right in front of his eyes. The creature suddenly changed direction and rushed toward the human's bench. It climbed up quickly and sat right beside him, holding up the panties like it wanted to show off its victory. The human stared at it. The creature squeaked proudly, wagging its fluffy tail. Then, the girl finally reached them. She stopped, panting slightly, and looked at the human with wide, nervous eyes. I'm so sorry," she said quickly, her voice shaking. "My companion is very mischievous. He doesn't mean harm, I promise." The human blinked, still unsure if he was dreaming or awake. A glowing alien girl was standing in front of him, apologizing for her pet, friend, whatever that furry thief was. The girl tried to grab the panties back, but the creature pulled them away and squeaked angrily, hugging them tighter. The girl groaned in frustration and covered her face with her hands. "This is so embarrassing," she whispered softly. For a long moment, the human just sat there. He didn't know if he should laugh, run away, or ask questions. His heart was racing. His mind was spinning. But one thing was clear. This night had just changed forever. The girl lowered her hands and gave him a shy, awkward smile. "Please," she said, her voice soft but hopeful. "Will you help me catch him?" The human looked at her glowing eyes, her nervous smile, and the little creature hugging the panties like a treasure. He didn't know what he had stepped into, but he nodded. "Yeah," he said quietly. "Let's catch him." And that was the start. The quiet evening was gone. The peaceful park had become a stage for something strange, funny, and unbelievable. The human didn't know who this girl was, or why she was here. But he knew one thing. He wasn't leaving anytime soon. Because sometimes the universe doesn't send spaceships or laser beams when it wants to change your life. Sometimes it sends a furry little alien thief and a girl who looks like Starlight. The furry creature squeaked loudly, as if laughing at the trouble it was causing. It clutched the panties in its small hands and leapt down from the bench, dashing across the grass again. The human jumped up quickly, trying to block its path. The alien girl hurried after, her silver hair bouncing as she ran. "Careful! Don't let him get away again," she shouted, her glowing blue eyes fixed on the mischievous little thief. The creature darted left, but the human moved fast. He bent down, stretching out his arms, and finally managed to grab it by its fluffy tail. The creature wriggled and squeaked angrily, waving its tiny hands in protest. The panties nearly slipped free, but the human held firm. "I've got him," he said, holding the squirming ball of fur tightly. The alien girl rushed forward, her face red with embarrassment. She gently took the panties back from the creature and let out a long sigh of relief. "Finally. Thank you so much." She looked at him then, her glowing eyes locking onto his. For a second, neither of them spoke. The human realized how close she was, close enough to see the soft glow of her skin, close enough to notice the faint shimmer that followed her every move. Then she blinked and stepped back quickly, her cheeks turning pink. I should explain," she said softly. The human raised an eyebrow. "Yeah, I think you should. First, who are you? And second, why is your little friend running around stealing underwear in a public park?" The alien girl pressed her lips together, clearly flustered. She glanced at the furry creature, who squeaked innocently as if it hadn't just caused all this chaos. "He's my companion," she said finally. "His name is Piku. He likes shiny things, and soft things, and, embarrassing things." She covered her face with her hands again, shaking her head. "I can't believe this happened in front of you." The human laughed, surprising himself. The situation was too strange, too ridiculous not to laugh at. "So his idea of treasure is panties?" Her blue eyes peeked out from behind her hands. She gave him a shy look. "In my culture, taking something like this is also a way of showing affection." The human froze. His mind replayed the word slowly. Showing affection. "Wait," he said carefully. "Are you telling me that your little furry friend steals underwear as a way of saying he likes someone?" She nodded, biting her lip. The human looked down at Piku, who was still wiggling happily in his arms, staring up at him with wide, glowing eyes. "Oh no," he whispered. "Don't tell me he likes me." The alien girl finally laughed, a soft, musical laugh that made the human's chest feel strange. She shook her head quickly. No, he's just playful. He doesn't really understand the difference, but it's still very embarrassing." She tucked the panties away into a small, glowing bag that hung from her belt, then looked back at him with a serious expression. I need to thank you. You didn't run away when you saw me. Most humans would have." The human shrugged, still holding Piku carefully. "I mean, it's not every day you meet a glowing alien girl and her underwear thief pet. I guess I was too shocked to run." She smiled faintly, her eyes softening. "Then maybe I'm lucky. It was you who saw me." There was a pause. The wind whispered through the trees and the park seemed to hold its breath. For the human, the world suddenly felt smaller, like everything had narrowed down to this moment. This strange girl, her mischievous companion, and the fact that he had somehow been pulled into their story. Piku squeaked again, tugging at the human's sleeve with tiny claws. The girl tilted her head, amused. "He likes you," she said. The human let out a sigh. "Great. First time meeting aliens, and I get adopted by the troublemaker." Her laugh came again, soft and bright. She stepped closer, this time more confident. "Maybe he has good taste," she said, her tone playful. The human's heart skipped. Was she teasing him? He cleared his throat, trying to hide his own smile. "So, what's your name? Or should I just call you the alien girl chasing her underwear thief?" Her cheeks glowed faintly pink again, but she stood tall, almost proud. "My name is Lyra," she said. "And yes, I am an alien girl. But not just any alien girl." She leaned closer, her voice dropping to a whisper that sent a shiver down his spine. "I came here for a reason." The human blinked. His curiosity burned hotter than ever. Lyra pulled back, her expression soft. "Again. But I'll explain later. For now, I think you deserve a proper thank you." She smiled, flirty this time, and touched her hand lightly to his arm. It was warm, almost electric. And before he could respond, Piku squeaked again and suddenly leapt out of his arms, snatching the human's hat right off his head this time. Lyra groaned, hiding her face again. "Not again," the human laughed, shaking his head. "Looks like he's not done with me yet." And just like that, the chase began again. Only this time, the human and Lyra ran side by side. The chase didn't last long this time. The little creature, Piku, was fast but clumsy when excited. He darted across the grass, clutching the human's hat, squeaking happily, as if he had just won the greatest prize in the universe. The human sprinted after him, while Lyra followed close behind, her silver hair flying in the wind. Finally, Piku tripped over a root and rolled onto the grass, still hugging the hat like it was treasure. The human bent down, scooped him up, and held him, high in the air. "Got you again," the human said, breathless but smiling. Piku squeaked in protest, tiny legs kicking wildly. Lyra hurried up, pressing her hands against her face in embarrassment once more. "I don't know why he keeps doing this," she muttered. "It's like he wants to make me look foolish." The human chuckled, setting Piku down, but quickly snatching the hat back. "I think he just likes attention." Lyra sighed and crouched beside Piku, patting his fluffy head. "In my culture, we call this gift-seeking behavior. It's an instinct of his species." She looked up at the human with a shy smile. "But when it happens with intimate things, it's also a tradition. A very old one." The human raised an eyebrow. "Tradition? You mean stealing underwear is part of your culture?" Lyra blushed, so hard her glowing skin turned pink. "Not exactly stealing," she said quickly, twisting her fingers together nervously. It's a way of showing affection. Long ago in my world, when someone admired another person, they would take a personal item as a token, something close to the body, something private." The human's mouth opened, but no words came out. He blinked at her, stunned. "So, let me get this straight. Your people steal underwear to say they like someone?" Lyra groaned and buried her face in her hands. "When you say it like that, it sounds so ridiculous." The human laughed, shaking his head. "Ridiculous? It's insane. Imagine if humans did that. First date and someone just, well, you know." Lyra peeked at him through her fingers, her blue eyes sparkling with embarrassment and humor. "Maybe it is strange to you, but for us, it is sweet. A playful way of saying I want to know you better." The human looked down at Piku, who was now rolling in the grass, looking extremely proud of himself. "So he was trying to say that to me? That he wants to know me better?" Lyra tilted her head, her silver hair falling like a curtain around her face. "Maybe," she said softly. Then she added with a teasing smile, "Or maybe he just thinks you're cute." The human froze, staring at her. Did she just... Her lips curved higher, clearly amused by his reaction. Lyra stood and brushed off her dress. "Don't worry," she said, her voice light. "It doesn't mean he wants to marry you. It's just his way of bonding. He likes shiny things, soft things, and people who are kind. You seem to be all three." The human blinked again. "Shiny? Soft? Me?" Lyra's laughter chimed in the air. "Your smile is shiny. Your clothes are soft, and your heart..." She paused, her eyes glowing brighter as she looked at him. "Your heart is kind. I could see it when you helped me, when you didn't run away." The human felt a strange warmth spread through his chest. He tried to play it off with humor. Well, I'm glad I passed your alien checklist. Piku squeaked loudly, jumping into the human's lap again. This time, instead of stealing, he curled up and purred like a tiny engine. Lyra's expression softened. See, he trusts you already, that's rare. The human scratched Piku's head carefully, surprised by how soft his fur was. Feels like a cat mixed with a cloud, he said. Lyra giggled, covering her mouth. That's a good way to describe him. The three of them sat in the park as the sun dipped lower, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. For a while, they simply enjoyed the quiet. The human still had 1,000 questions burning inside him, but he didn't want to scare her off. Finally, he asked, So, Lyra, why are you here? I mean, not just in the park, but here on Earth? Lyra looked at him, her eyes shimmering, like liquid light. She hesitated, then smiled gently. That's a story for another time. The human groaned. You can't just say that after all this. She laughed again, playful and flirty. Patience, human. You'll learn soon. Enough! Before he could push her more, Piku suddenly jumped up again and tugged at the human's shoelace, pulling it loose. The human yelped as his shoe nearly slipped off while Lyra burst into laughter. Maybe he's trying to claim your shoes now, she teased. The human shook his head, laughing too. Great. At this rate, I'll walk home in nothing but socks. Lyra's eyes sparkled mischievously. Careful, she said softly. In my culture, that might mean we're already very close. The human's face turned red as Piku squeaked in agreement, rolling happily in the grass again. And for the first time, the human realized something. This was not just strange. It was dangerous, in the best, most exciting way. Because maybe, just maybe, he wasn't the one learning about aliens. Maybe the aliens were here to learn about humans. The park grew quieter as evening settled in. The last rays of the sun stretched across the sky, mixing pink, orange, and violet like a painted canvas. Lamps along the path began to glow softly, casting warm circles of light on the grass. The human sat back on the bench, still catching his breath after all of Piku's antics. The furry companion had finally curled up at his feet, purring softly, clearly tired from all the chaos. Lyra sat beside him, her silver hair shimmering faintly under the lamplight. For the first time since he had met her, she looked calm, not chasing, not embarrassed, just quietly watching the sky. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The silence wasn't heavy. It felt gentle, comfortable. Finally, the human broke it. So, is this what your evenings usually look like? Running around, chasing a little underwear thief through the park? Lyra turned to him, her glowing eyes playful. Only when I'm lucky enough to meet a human who doesn't faint at the sight of me, he smirked. You're saying I should be proud? Yes, she said softly, her voice carrying a warmth he didn't expect. Where I come from, humans are fascinating, but also unpredictable. Some fear us, some chase us away. But you, her gaze softened as she tilted her head. You stayed, you helped. That means something. The human shifted slightly, feeling an odd warmth in his chest. I guess I just didn't want you to feel alone, he admitted. You looked lost, like you needed someone on your side. Lyra blinked, surprised. For a second, her confident smile faded, replaced by something softer, almost vulnerable. She looked away, brushing her hair behind her ear. Maybe you're right, she whispered. They sat quietly again, the tension between them changing. Less awkward now, more curious, more intimate. Piku snored softly at their feet, and the human chuckled. He really knocked himself out, huh? Lyra laughed, covering her mouth with delicate fingers. He always does this after too much mischief. But don't be fooled. He'll wake up soon, ready for more trouble. The human grinned. I'll be ready for him. Maybe next time he'll steal my jacket instead of my hat. Lyra's eyes sparkled mischievously. Or maybe he'll steal your heart. The words hung in the air for a moment, and the human's face grew warm. He couldn't tell if she had, meant it as a joke or something more. But the way her lips curved in a teasing smile made him think she knew exactly what she was doing. He cleared his throat, trying to keep his composure. "You're pretty bold for someone who just met me." Lyra leaned closer, her glowing eyes reflecting the lamplight. "Maybe boldness is part of my culture too." The human swallowed hard, his pulse quickening. She was close enough now that he could smell a faint, sweet fragrance around her, like flowers mixed with something he couldn't name, something otherworldly. Before he could respond, Piku stirred and squeaked loudly, jumping into Lyra's lap. He pawed at her hands, clearly, demanding attention. Lyra laughed, stroking his fur. "He doesn't like being ignored," she explained, her voice soft again. The human smiled, relieved for the interruption. But curiosity still burned inside him. "Lyra, why are you here, really? You've said bits and pieces, but I still don't understand. Did you just come to Earth for fun, for studying, for—" He hesitated. "For humans?" Her smile faded. She looked down at Piku, stroking him absent-mindedly. For a long moment she didn't answer. Then she said quietly, "It's complicated. My people, they've watched humans for a long time. We admire you. We envy you. But we also don't fully understand you. I came here because I wanted to see for myself." The human tilted his head. "See what?" Lyra looked at him then, her glowing eyes serious. "Why humans are special. Why the universe seems to bend around you in ways it doesn't for others." The words struck him strangely. He wasn't sure what they meant, but the weight in her tone told him she wasn't joking. Before he could ask more, her playful smile returned, softening the moment. "But tonight is not for heavy answers. Tonight is for laughter, and maybe a little mischief." She nudged him gently with her elbow. "After all, Piku seems to like you. That means I should too." The human laughed, shaking his head. "That's a weird way to choose friends." Lyra leaned closer again, whispering, "Maybe I'm not just choosing a friend." The human's heart pounded. He opened his mouth, but before he could respond, Piku suddenly leapt down and scurried off again, squeaking with energy. This time, he snatched the human's shoelace and darted across the grass. Both Lyra and the human groaned at the same time. Then they looked at each other and laughed. "Looks like he's giving us another reason to run together," the human said, standing quickly. Lyra's eyes glowed brighter, her laughter soft but full of joy. "Then let's catch him. Again." And just like that, the chase began once more. But this time, it felt different. Not just a game. Not just mischief. It felt like the start of something bigger, something neither of them could quite name yet. The night air grew cooler as the stars began to appear one by one above the park. The human finally caught Piku again, this time holding him firmly so the little troublemaker couldn't dash off. Piku squeaked, wriggled, and eventually gave up, curling into a soft ball in the human's arms. Lyra laughed as she walked up to him, brushing her silver hair away from her glowing face. "You're good at this," she said warmly. "Piku almost never lets strangers catch him twice, let alone 3 times. The human smirked, holding the fluffy companion close. "Guess I have a talent for babysitting alien pranksters." Lyra tilted her head, her bright blue eyes studying him. "Or maybe, you're not as ordinary as you think." The words lingered in the air. The human frowned slightly. "You keep saying things like that. Earlier you told me humans are special, that your people don't understand us. What do you mean?" Lyra hesitated. Her playful smile softened into something more serious. She glanced at Piku, then at the sky as if searching for courage. Finally, she sat down on the bench and gestured for him to sit beside her. He did. Lyra folded her hands in her lap and spoke quietly. "My people call your kind the bright ones. Long before I was born, our explorers watched Earth from afar. They saw how quickly humans adapt, how you keep fighting even when the odds are impossible. You create, you love, you forgive, even when it seems foolish. No other species we know does this so strongly. Many survive. But humans live." The human blinked. He hadn't expected something so heavy. So you're saying you admire us? Lyra nodded. Yes, but there's more. Some of my people fear you. They say one day humans will spread across the stars and nothing will be able to stop you. Others believe humans are a light the galaxy needs, a force of hope. The human let out a nervous laugh. That's a lot to put on us. I mean, I'm just one guy sitting in a park. Lyra smiled gently. And yet, here you are. When you saw me, you didn't run. You didn't attack. You didn't scream. You helped. That says more than you realize. The human felt his chest tighten. He didn't know how to respond, so he looked down at Piku, who was staring up at him with those bright, innocent eyes. So this whole underwear stealing tradition, that's all part of your research? Lyra's cheeks glowed pink. No, she said quickly, shaking her head. That's just Piku being naughty. My mission was never to embarrass myself in front of you. The human grinned. Well, you're doing a great job at it. Lyra groaned, covering her face. Don't remind me, but then her hands dropped and her expression grew serious again. The truth is, I came here alone, against my people's wishes. They want to keep watching from a distance. But I wanted to know for myself. I wanted to see what makes humans so different. And now, she looked into his eyes, her own glowing softly. Now I think I'm beginning to understand. The human's throat felt dry. He tried to lighten the moment. What? That we're good at chasing after fluffy thieves? Lyra giggled softly. No, that you're good at making others feel less alone. Silence fell between them again, but this time it wasn't awkward. It was heavy with meaning, with things unspoken. The human felt his heart beating faster and, for once, he didn't know if it was because of fear, excitement, or something else entirely. Piku suddenly squeaked, wriggling in his arms again. The human let him down, and the little creature bounded off into the grass, thankfully not stealing anything this time. Lyra watched him, smiling softly, before turning back to the human. There's something else you should know, she said, quietly. The human raised an eyebrow. More secrets? Her expression grew serious again. If my people discover I've made direct contact with you, they'll try to take me back. They'll erase any sign of me being here. They don't want humans to know about us yet, not until they're sure. The human's stomach sank. So, you're telling me you could disappear at any moment? Lyra nodded slowly. Yes, that's why I can't stay in one place for too long. That's why tonight, meeting you here, is dangerous. If anyone finds us, her voice trailed off and she looked down at her hands. For the first time, she didn't look like a confident, teasing alien girl. She looked vulnerable. The human reached out before he could stop himself, gently touching her hand. Then I'll make sure you're safe. If you're here, if you're curious about us, then I want to help, even if it's dangerous. Lyra's eyes widened, her glowing blue gaze meeting his. For a moment, it was like the whole park disappeared. The trees, the lamps, even Piku's squeaks in the distance. It was just the two of them, caught in something bigger than themselves. Her lips curved into a small, grateful smile. You really are different. Before he could reply, Piku let out a sharp squeak from the shadows, ears twitching. He stood stiff, staring into the trees as if he had sensed something. Lyra's expression shifted instantly from soft to alert. What is it? The human whispered. Lyra stood quickly, her eyes narrowing. We're not alone anymore. The human froze, following Lyra's gaze toward the dark trees at the edge of the park. The warm glow of the lamps didn't reach that far, and shadows seemed to stretch endlessly between the branches. Piku stood stiff, his fur puffed up, ears twitching as he let out low squeaks, nothing like his playful noises from before. The human whispered, What is it? An animal? Lyra shook her head, her glowing eyes narrowing. No, it's something else. Someone's watching us. The human's heart raced. He glanced around nervously. Watching us? You mean more aliens? Lyra didn't answer at first. Her hand slipped into the small, glowing pouch at her side. From it, she pulled a strange, crystal-like object that pulsed faintly with light. She held it tight, her voice low. If it's who I think it is, we need to be careful. The human swallowed. You're not exactly making me feel better. Before Lyra could reply, a rustle came from the trees. A shadow moved. Too big to be a bird, too fast to be a normal animal. The human instinctively stepped in front of Lyra, his fists clenched even though he had no idea what he could possibly do. Then, a figure stepped out from the trees. It wasn't human. The figure was tall, dressed in dark, sleek clothing that shimmered faintly under the lamp glow. Its skin was pale, almost gray, and its eyes glowed a faint red. Unlike Lyra, there was nothing friendly in its gaze. Lyra, the stranger said, its voice cold, sharp, and echoing slightly. You were warned not to make contact. The human's breath caught. He looked back at Lyra, whose face had gone pale. She gripped the crystal tighter. Who is that? The human whispered. Lyra's voice trembled, though she tried to stay strong. A watcher. They're sent to track people like me, those who break the rules. The watcher's red eyes flicked toward the human, and its lip curled. And you involved a human, reckless, dangerous. You will return with me, Lyra. Now. The human stepped forward, his heart hammering. Hold on. You don't get to just order her around like that. The watcher's gaze landed fully on him, now sharp and cold. Stay out of this. You are nothing but a fragile creature. This matter is beyond you. The human's fist clenched tighter, but before he could respond, Piku suddenly leapt forward. The furry creature squeaked furiously, hurling himself at the watcher's leg. The watcher hissed, shaking his foot violently to throw Piku off. Annoying. Rodent, Lyra gasped. Piku. The human didn't think. He acted. He dashed forward, scooping Piku up just before the watcher could kick him aside. He stumbled back toward Lyra, holding the trembling creature close. Stay behind me, the human said breathlessly. Lyra stared at him, her eyes wide. Why are you? You can't fight him. He's stronger than both of us. Maybe, the human admitted. But I'm not just going to stand here and do nothing. For the first time since stepping out of the trees, the watcher's expression changed. A flicker of surprise crossed his pale face. You protect her? You would risk yourself for her? The human tightened his grip on Piku and glared. Yeah, she doesn't deserve whatever you're planning. So if you want her, you'll have to go through me first. The watcher's red eyes narrowed again, but this time his voice carried a hint of curiosity. Foolish human, perhaps this is why your kind is feared. Lyra stepped forward, standing beside the human now. Her voice was firm, though her hand still trembled around the crystal. I won't go with you. Not tonight. Not while he's here. The watcher tilted his head, studying them both. Then he hissed softly. Very well, but this isn't over. His body shimmered, fading into the shadows until he vanished completely, leaving only the cold echo of his voice. The council will know of this. Silence fell. The human stood frozen, his chest heaving as he tried to calm his racing heart. Lyra slowly lowered the crystal, her hands shaking. That was too close. The human let out a shaky laugh. Too close? He wanted to drag you away. Who the hell are these people? Lyra looked at him, her glowing eyes full of guilt. I told you. My people don't want contact yet. The Watchers enforce that rule. I broke it by speaking with you, by letting you see me, by... She hesitated, her cheeks glowing pink. By letting you get close. The human frowned, still catching his breath. So what happens now? They'll just keep coming after you? Lyra nodded sadly. Yes, unless I leave. They'll think I've gone back to my world. That will keep you safe. The words hit the human hard. He looked down at Piku, who was clinging tightly to his shirt, then back at Lyra. You can't just leave. Not after everything. You came here for a reason. You said you wanted to understand humans. You haven't finished that yet, have you? Lyra's lips parted, her eyes softening. She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she reached out and touched his hand gently. You're right. I haven't finished. But staying here puts you in danger. The human squeezed her hand lightly, his voice steady. Then let me be in danger, if that's what it takes. Because maybe you're supposed to learn something else too. That sometimes, humans don't give up on the people they care about. Lyra stared at him, her glowing eyes, wide with emotion. Then, for the first time that night, her confident smile returned, not playful but filled with warmth. Maybe, she whispered, that's exactly what makes you so special. The park was quiet again, but the silence no longer felt peaceful. It carried weight, the kind that comes after danger after a storm that hasn't truly passed. The human sat back on the bench, his chest still heavy with the memory of the watcher's red eyes. Lyra stood nearby, her silver hair shimmering under the lamps, her expression unreadable. Piku clung to the human's shoulder now, calmer but still twitching nervously as if sensing the tension in the air. For a long moment no one spoke. Finally the human broke the silence. So, is this it? You just leave now? Pretend none of this happened? Lyra's gaze lowered, her glowing eyes filled with conflict. If I stay, more will come, they'll find me. And if they see us together, they'll hurt you too. The human clenched his fists. I don't care about that. I can handle it. Her lips curved into a faint, sad smile. Brave words, but you don't realize how strong they are. The Watchers aren't like me. They're trained, armed, and merciless. Even your courage won't stop them. The human leaned forward, elbows on his knees, frustration written on his face. Then what's the point of any of this? You show up, your furry friend steals my stuff, you tell me humans are special. And then you vanish? Lyra's heart ached at his words. She stepped closer, kneeling in front of him so their eyes met. The point, she whispered, is that I did see it. I saw what makes you special, and maybe that was worth the risk. The human's breath caught. Her glowing blue eyes held his, shimmering like starlight. For a moment, the whole park faded away. But then Lyra looked down, breaking the moment. Still, I can't put you in danger. If I stay, the Watchers will never stop. If I go, at least you'll be safe. The human's jaw tightened. He hated how helpless he felt. Safe doesn't mean happy, he muttered. Lyra blinked, surprised by his words. A warmth spread in her chest, but she tried to hide it behind a playful smile. Careful, human. If you keep saying things like that, I might think you actually like me. The human smirked despite himself. Maybe I do. Her cheeks glowed pink, and for once she was the one caught off guard. She brushed a strand of hair behind her ear, trying to regain her composure. You're impossible, she said softly. No wonder Piku likes you. As if on cue, Piku squeaked and leapt into Lyra's arms, his tail wagging happily. Lyra hugged him, her smile bittersweet. He's never trusted anyone this fast. That means something. The human stood, his voice steady now. Then don't go. At least, not yet. Give it one more night. Stay, talk, laugh. Let me show you why humans are worth the trouble. After that, if you still want to leave, I won't stop you. Lyra hesitated, her heart pulled in two directions, duty and desire. She knew what her people expected, but she also knew how rare it was to feel this way. Warmth, trust, and something she didn't want to name yet. Finally, she sighed, her lips curling into a mischievous smile. One night. But if Piku steals your clothes again, that's on you. The human laughed in relief, the heaviness in his chest lifting. Deal. They sat together on the bench once more, this time closer than before. The stars glittered above them, and for a while they simply talked. About humans, about her world, about silly things Piku had done in the past. The human made her laugh more than she expected, and each laugh made her heart feel lighter. Eventually, though, the night grew late. Lyra stood, Piku curled in her arms again, already dozing. She looked at the human, her glowing eyes softer than ever. "I will have to leave soon," she admitted. "But tonight, I don't regret breaking the rules." The human smiled faintly. "Neither do I." She stepped closer, leaning in just enough that her voice brushed his ear like a secret. "When I go, don't think of it as goodbye. Think of it as to be continued." His pulse quickened. He turned to face her, but before he could speak, she had already stepped back, her smile playful again. "Good night, human," she said softly, and with a shimmer of light, she and Piku vanished into the shadows, gone as suddenly as they had appeared. The human stood alone in the park now, the memory of her laughter and glowing eyes burning in his chest. He looked up at the stars, feeling something he couldn't explain. Hope, longing, and excitement all at once. He didn't know when she'd return. But he knew one thing for certain: this wasn't the end, it was only the beginning.